At the time this happened, I was 27 and working overnight security at a small logistics warehouse outside a dying industrial town. Not the kind with fences and cameras everywhere. Just one rusting gate, a guard booth with a sticky window, and a building full of pallets nobody had touched in years. My job mostly consisted of sitting alone from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., logging trucks that almost never came, and pretending not to fall asleep under cheap fluorescent lights. I wasn't the type who scared easily. I grew up in a loud house with 6 cousins and 2 dogs that barked at shadows. Silence never bothered me much. If anything, it was comforting. The stillness of night felt honest, like the world had finally stopped performing. The night this happened started like every other. It was late autumn, cold in that dry, sour way industrial areas get when the sun goes down. I drove in with my window cracked, reheated coffee in my rusted thermos, and flicked on the heater inside the booth that whined louder than it ever worked. I remember checking my phone and seeing it was 10:04 p.m. when I sat down. No missed calls, no texts, just another night. If you'd asked me then, I would have said nothing ever happened at that place, that it was forgotten by the world, harmless, just metal and shadows. That illusion lasted about 2 hours. Most nights followed a ritual. I filled out my logbook, made circles around the same words until my handwriting got lazy. At 10:30, I'd walk the perimeter, one lap around the lot with my flashlight, kicking loose gravel, listening to wind punch empty dumpsters. Inside, I'd microwave instant noodles that always smelled vaguely of plastic. I'd sit on the cracked, reupholstered office chair and half-watch downloaded YouTube videos on my phone with one earbud in, letting the other ear pick up the quiet. The quiet wasn't truly silent, though. There was always something. Electric buzzing from the light overhead, the building sighing when the temperature dropped, distant traffic like ocean noise, familiar sounds. Around midnight, I brewed my second coffee using the little plug-in kettle I wasn't supposed to have. The smell of burnt grounds filled the booth, mixing with old carpet and cleaning chemicals. I pulled out the crosswords my mum used to mail me every month. Always thought that was weirdly sweet. She said it helped her imagine I wasn't alone at night. I'd been halfway through one about world capitals when I heard a car pass the gate outside. Just the sound of tires on gravel, slow and deliberate. I looked up automatically. Headlights swept across the grimy window, washed everything in white, and then faded as the car turned around on the street beyond the fence. It wasn't unusual. People used the place to do 3-point turns all the time. I went back to my puzzle. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed with a text from my friend Leo, asking if I was alive. "Leo, you working your vampire hours?" I smiled and typed back something sarcastic. I remember feeling normal, tired, bored, but not uneasy. Outside, the wind caught a loose metal sign and slammed it into the fence again and again. I thought nothing of it. About 1:17 a.m., the sound somehow changed. At first, I thought the wind had just died down. But then I noticed something stranger. It had gotten quiet. Too quiet. No distant traffic, no humming from the power lines behind the lot. Even the buzzing of the fluorescent light seemed softer. Then I heard it. Footsteps, not loud, not crunching gravel, just close. Soft. I froze. Crossword forgotten. They were coming from the side of the booth, the narrow stretch between my window and the warehouse wall. I couldn't see that side from where I sat. I waited, counted my breaths. Nothing. I told myself it was probably a stray cat or one of the night shift guys cutting through the lot on break. There were a few other warehouses nearby with skeleton crews. I got up slowly and walked to the front window. My reflection was faint, pale against the dark. I leaned forward, squinting into the lot. Nothing. Just empty pavement, my car alone by the gate, moonlight on metal. But then I noticed something else. The gate was open, not wide, just not fully shut. I knew I'd locked it. I checked it every night out of habit. I stood there too long, heart picking up speed, listening to the blood in my ears. Then, very faintly from behind the booth, a breath. Not mine. A small, wet sound like someone trying not to be heard. I spun around, flashlight raised. "Hello?" I called, trying to make my voice sound annoyed, not scared. Nothing answered. The silence pressed in harder. I laughed once, nervously, loud in the booth. "Someone's screwing around," I muttered. But my stomach had already dropped. I grabbed my radio from the wall and clicked it on, the static loud and comforting. "Anyone on site?" I said. My voice came out thin. No reply. I told myself if there was someone there, they'd probably move on once they realized the place wasn't empty. Still, I locked the booth door and pulled the curtain halfway down. Every few seconds, I caught movement out of the corner of my eye, shadows shifting that vanished when I looked straight at them. I stood completely still, listening. Then a knock, soft, 3 slow taps on the glass. I jumped back so hard I nearly lost my balance. My flashlight slipped from my hand and clattered to the floor. Warehouse is closed," I said, somehow managing to speak. "Come back during business hours." I waited. Another knock, harder this time. My chest tightened. "Who is this?" I tried. Silence. Then something moved across the window, up close this time, too close. A shape passed by so near the glass that I could see the outline of a shoulder, a head. Someone was circling the booth, slowly, deliberately. My hand shook as I grabbed my phone. I tried to call the local police station. It rang once, twice. No answer. Another knock, but now it was on the door. "Please," a man's voice whispered from the other side. Calm, too calm. "I just need to come in for a minute." Every instinct screamed no. "I'm calling the cops," I said louder. He chuckled softly. "You already tried." My stomach dropped so hard it felt like falling. The handle moved, not violently, just a gentle testing. Click, click. My heart slammed against my ribs. I backed away, my legs weak, grabbing the fire extinguisher from the wall. "Back up," I shouted, my voice breaking. "Get away from the door." He didn't raise his voice. "I saw you earlier," he said quietly. "When you drove in, you looked tired." I swallowed, unable to speak. "I won't hurt you," he continued. "I just need somewhere warm. 5 minutes." Liar. No one who talks like that at this hour wants something innocent. Another click. Then the door shifted, just slightly. The lock gave. I screamed and rushed forward, slamming my shoulder into it with everything I had. On the other side, he did the same. The door bowed inward with a metallic groan. "Stop!" I cried. He exhaled sharply, annoyed now. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." I drove the base of the extinguisher into the handle. Metal snapped. The door swung open an inch. I swung through the gap blindly. I felt impact. A grunt, then a wet, choking sound. He stumbled backward, falling out of view. I didn't think. I ran. Out the door, past the booth, across the lot, screaming, my keys shaking in my hand as I unlocked my truck. Behind me, footsteps, fast. I threw myself inside, slammed the door, and turned the engine. Something hit the side of the truck. A hand slapped the window, fingers spread. His face rose from the darkness, close enough for me to see the whites of his eyes. Desperate, angry. I stomped the gas. The tires screamed. I didn't look back. I drove until my hands went numb. The police eventually came when I flagged down a gas station clerk who locked me inside their booth while he called. By the time they searched the warehouse, there was nothing. No footprints, no sign of forced entry. Just my broken door and the dent in my truck. They asked if I was sure I wasn't dreaming, asked if I'd been drinking. One officer said maybe a homeless man tried to get warm and got scared when I overreacted. I never went back. I quit the next morning. Didn't even clean out my locker. For weeks I couldn't sleep unless my lights were on. Every sound felt like footsteps. Every shadow moved when I wasn't looking. I stopped working nights altogether, but I didn't stop feeling watched. It's been 3 years. Last week I opened an old email I hadn't used in ages. There was one message, no subject, no name, just a single line. You still look tired. I sleep with every light on now, and sometimes, in the quietest moments of night, I swear I hear breathing just outside my window.